The observation dome of Kepler Station stretched wide above Ambassador Hyon's head. Through the transparent ceiling, he could see the assembled fleets of 50 different species. Their ships hung in the darkness like jewels, each one representing a civilization that had joined the Galactic Council centuries ago. Some had been members for thousands of years. Hyon's skin shifted from calm blue to worried purple. He was a Viridian, and his crystalline body changed colors with his emotions. Right now he could not hide his concern. For 3 cycles he had tried to contact the humans. For 3 cycles every message had been ignored. The council chamber was full. Representatives from every species sat in their designated seats arranged in a perfect circle. High Elder Thax presided from the central platform. The ancient Krell leader had lived for over 500 years and had seen 3 major wars. His scaled face showed no emotion as Hyon began his report. "Honored members of the council," Hyon said, his voice carrying through the chamber, "I must report another failure. The humans have returned our latest diplomatic package unopened. Our probes sent to their border have disappeared. Not destroyed, simply vanished. No wreckage, no signals, nothing." A murmur ran through the chamber. Several counselors shifted in their seats. The humans were not an unknown species. They had been discovered 40 years ago, a young civilization that had just developed faster than light travel. The council had been excited. New species were rare and humans seemed promising. But after the first contact attempt, everything changed. The human delegation had left the meeting suddenly. They returned to their space and closed their borders. Since then, no human ship had crossed into council territory. No human had responded to any message. "This is unacceptable," High Elder Thax said. His voice was deep and rough. "Every intelligent species in this galaxy has joined the council. It is the natural order of things. The humans must understand that isolation benefits no one." "Perhaps they need more time," Hyon suggested. "They are young. They may be afraid." "Afraid of peace?" Thax's eyes narrowed. "We offer them protection, trade, knowledge. What is there to fear?" Hyon had no answer. He had studied every piece of information about humans. They were aggressive, yes, but also curious. They valued freedom highly. Their history was full of wars, but also of art, science, and exploration. They should have wanted to join the galactic community. Far from the council chamber on the edge of human space, Commander Gio watched her sensors. Her ship, the Shadow of Earth, was completely invisible. Human stealth technology was the best in the galaxy, though the council did not know that. They did not know much about human capabilities at all. Gio was young for a commander, only 32 years old. But she was the best at her job. She had been watching council ships for 5 years, learning their patterns, studying their technology. She knew more about the Galactic Council than any ambassador could learn from official channels. "Commander," her sensor officer said, "we're detecting a large formation leaving Kepler Station. Looks like a diplomatic convoy. 50 ships, mixed species." Gio leaned forward. "Are they heading toward our border?" "Yes, ma'am. Course laid in for the neutral zone." This was it. The council was sending another delegation. Gio opened a secure channel to Earth Command. "Shadow of Earth to Admiral Sujin. The council is coming. Large force, diplomatic configuration, requesting orders." Admiral Sujin's face appeared on the screen. She was older, her hair gray, her face lined with worry. She had been fighting to keep humanity independent since the first contact. "Observe only, Commander. Do not engage. Do not reveal yourself. Let them cross the border. We need to see what they do." "Understood, Admiral." On Earth in a secure research facility, Dr. Minho stared at his computer screen. The data before him was impossible, but he had checked it 20 times. Every test confirmed the same result. For years, Minho had been studying genetic samples collected from council species. The samples came from various sources, some official, some not. Human intelligence had been very thorough, and what Minho had found was terrifying. Every council species shared a common genetic marker. It was subtle, hidden deep in their DNA, but it was there. The marker was not natural. It had been inserted deliberately, carefully by someone with incredible knowledge of genetic engineering. Humans did not have this marker. Humans were natural, unmodified, exactly as evolution had made them. Minho picked up his phone and called his supervisor. "We have a problem," he said. "A big one. The diplomatic convoy crossed into human space 3 days later. Captain Taehyun led the mission from his flagship, a beautiful vessel built for peace, not war. He was nervous but hopeful. Surely the humans would listen this time. "Captain, we're receiving a signal," his communications officer said. "Audio only." "Put it through." A human voice filled the bridge. It was calm, almost sad. "Council vessels, you have entered human territory. You are not welcome here. Please turn back." Taehyun activated his own communicator. "This is Captain Taehyun of the Galactic Council Diplomatic Corps. We come in peace. We only wish to talk." There was a long pause. Then the human voice returned. "We know why you are here. We know what you want. The answer is no. It has always been no. It will always be no, but why?" Taehyun asked. "We offer friendship, cooperation, peace. Why do you refuse?" "Because your peace has a price," the voice said. "And we will not pay it." Before Taehyun could respond, his sensors went crazy. Every screen lit up with warnings, ships, thousands of them. They appeared from behind Earth's moon, from hidden positions throughout the system. Human warships, sleek and deadly. Their weapons powered, but not firing. The diplomatic convoy was surrounded. Completely, utterly surrounded. "Council vessels," the human voice said. "You will remain where you are. Any aggressive action will be met with immediate response. Any attempt to communicate with your government will be blocked. You are now guests of the Terran Defense Fleet." Taehyun's hand shook as he gripped his command chair. This was not how first contact was supposed to go. This was not how the galaxy worked. Every species eventually joined the council. It was inevitable, natural, right? But the humans were different. And as Taehyun watched the massive human fleet hold position around his ships, perfect and disciplined, he realized something. The humans were not afraid of the council. The council was afraid of them. Back on Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyun received the news. The convoy had crossed into human space. Then all contact had been lost. Not destroyed, just silent. He stood in the observation dome, staring at the assembled fleets. Soon High Elder Thax would call an emergency session. Soon there would be talk of military action. The council had not fought a war in 300 years, but Hyun could feel it coming. His skin shifted from purple to dark red. Fear and anger mixed together. Somewhere in the darkness, the humans watched and waited. They had shown their strength. Now the galaxy would have to decide what to do about it. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other, some demanding war, others calling for patience. High Elder Thax sat in the center, silent, watching everything with his ancient eyes. Ambassador Hyun tried to speak, but his voice was lost in the noise. He had never seen the council like this. For thousands of years, they had operated in harmony. Decisions were made through calm discussion and consensus. But the humans had broken something fundamental. Order. Thax's voice cut through the chaos like a blade. The chamber fell silent. "We will not solve this through panic. We need information." "What happened to Captain Taehyun's convoy?" "We don't know," Hyun admitted. His skin had turned a deep gray, the viridian color of shame. All communications stopped the moment they crossed into human space. "Our long-range sensors detect the ships are still intact, but we cannot reach them." "Then they are prisoners," a Krell military commander said. "This is an act of war." "We don't know that," Hyun protested. "They may be in negotiations. The humans may simply be blocking our signals for security reasons." "After 40 years of silence, you still defend them?" The Krell commander's voice was harsh. "Face reality, Ambassador. The humans are hostile." In human space, Captain Taehyun was not being mistreated. In fact, he was confused by how well he was being treated. His crew had been separated into small groups and taken to different facilities. Each group was comfortable, well-fed, and allowed to interact with each other. But they could not leave, and they could not send messages home. Taehyun sat in a simple room with white walls and a large window overlooking Earth, a planet of blue oceans and green continents. It was beautiful. A human woman entered the room carrying 2 cups of tea. "Captain Taehyun," she said, offering him a cup. "I hope you slept well." He took the cup carefully. "I did, thank you." "May I ask who you are?" "My name is Yuna. I'm a civilian liaison. I'm here to answer your questions and make sure you're comfortable." "I appreciate your hospitality," Taehyun said. "But I must ask, why are we being held?" "We came in peace." Yuna sat down across from him. "You came with good intentions, yes. But you came to invite us into something we cannot accept. The Galactic Council is not what you think it is." "I don't understand." "You will," Yuna said gently. "Admiral Sujin wants to meet with you. She has things to show you." Things that will explain everything. On the shadow of Earth, Commander Geo continued her watch. Her orders were clear but troubling. She was not just observing the Council fleet at the border. Her sensors had detected something else. Dozens of other ships from species that were supposedly allied with the Council were also watching human space. Why are they all here? Her tactical officer asked. If they're allies, why watch each other? Geo had been wondering the same thing. Maybe they're not as unified as they appear. Or maybe they're watching us and each other. Keep recording everything. Intelligence will want to see this. On Earth, Dr. Minho presented his findings to a room full of military and political leaders. The genetic data was displayed on a massive screen. Admiral Sujin stood at the front, her expression grim. Explain it simply, Admiral Sujin said. What did you find? Minho pointed to the screen. Every species in the Galactic Council has been genetically modified. The modification is ancient, probably millions of years old. It's woven into their DNA so completely that they probably don't even know it's there. Modified how? A general asked. The modifications affect behavior, Minho explained. They encourage cooperation, reduce aggression, and create a strong desire for social harmony. In simple terms, these species were designed to work together, to avoid conflict, to seek consensus. The room was silent for a moment. Then someone asked the obvious question. What about humans? Humans are natural, Minho said. Completely unmodified. We evolved without any interference. That makes us unique in the known galaxy. Admiral Sujin spoke quietly. And that's why they want us to join. Not for trade or protection. They want to modify us to make us like them. We don't know that for certain, Minho said carefully. Yes, we do, Admiral Sujin replied. I've seen the records from first contact. They offered us genetic therapy, medical treatments, integration procedures, all carefully worded, all presented as gifts, but every treatment would have changed our DNA. We refused, and that's when everything went wrong. She turned to face the room. The Council operates on genetic programming. Every member species is compelled to maintain the system, to bring new species into the fold. They probably don't even realize they're being controlled. To them it feels natural, right? Necessary. So what do we do? The general asked. We show Captain Taehyun the truth, Admiral Sujin said, and we hope that somewhere in his modified mind, he can still choose to understand. 3 days later, Captain Taehyun sat in a laboratory while Dr. Minho explained the genetic research. Charts and diagrams filled the screens around them. Taehyun listened in silence, his face showing no emotion. When Minho finished, Taehyun spoke carefully. You're saying that my people, all council species, were designed by someone else? Yes, Minho said. And these modifications control our behavior? Not control exactly, Minho explained. They influence. They make certain behaviors feel natural, right? Necessary. You still have free will, but your instincts have been shaped by the modifications. Taehyun was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I should be angry. I should reject this information. But I feel nothing, just acceptance. Is that the programming? Maybe, Minho said gently. Or maybe it's shock. This is a lot to process. I need to send this information to the Council, Taehyun said. They need to know. We'll help you do that, Admiral Sujin said, entering the room. But understand, Captain, they may not be able to hear it. Their programming may prevent them from accepting the truth. Back on Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyon was conducting his own research. He had accessed the deepest archives of the Council, records that had not been reviewed in thousands of years. What he found disturbed him. There were references to an ancient race called the Architects. They had existed long before the Council, perhaps before any current species. The records were fragmentary, but they suggested the Architects had seeded the galaxy with modified species. Why? For what purpose? The records gave no clear answer. Hyun's communicator chimed. A priority message. He opened it and saw Captain Taehyun's face. Ambassador, Taehyun said, I'm alive and well. The humans have treated us with respect, but I've learned something you need to know, something about all of us. The message contains data files. Review them carefully. What we believe about ourselves, about the Council, about the natural order of the galaxy. It's all wrong. The message ended abruptly. Hyun stared at the screen, his skin shifting through a dozen colors. Fear, confusion, curiosity, dread. He opened the data files and began to read. Hours later, as the truth sank in, Ambassador Hyun realized something terrible. The humans were right to be afraid, and the Council had been living a lie for millions of years. Ambassador Hyun spent 3 sleepless nights reviewing the data Captain Taehyun had sent. The evidence was clear and horrible. Every species in the Council had been modified at the genetic level. The changes were subtle but profound, affecting how they thought, how they felt, how they understood the universe. He sat alone in his quarters, staring at his own genetic profile on the screen. The modifications were there, marked in red. They had been part of his species for so long that they were considered natural, but they were not. Someone had designed them, inserted them, made them permanent. His communicator buzzed. It was a message from Scholar Riven, an ancient historian from one of the oldest Council species. Ambassador Hyun, I received your data request regarding the architects. I have found something in the Forbidden Archives. We need to meet privately. They met in a secured room deep within Kepler Station. Scholar Riven was old, even by the standards of his long-lived species. His body was frail, but his mind was sharp. The architects, Riven began, spreading ancient documents across the table. I have studied them for centuries. Most scholars believe they are myths, legends created to explain our origins. But I have always suspected they were real. What did you find? Hyun asked. Records, Riven said. Old records dating back millions of years. They speak of a great empire that controlled the galaxy. The architects were master geneticists. They believed they could create perfect civilizations by designing perfect species. They modified us, Hyun said quietly. Yes. They took primitive species and changed them, made them cooperative, peaceful, inclined toward order and harmony. Then they established the Council as a way to maintain their creation. But where are they now? Riven's expression was grave. The records suggest they left. Disappeared into deep space or another dimension. But they left systems in place, safeguards to ensure their modified species would continue to follow the plan. What kind of safeguards? The genetic modifications themselves are one safeguard. They make us want to maintain the Council, to bring new species into the fold to avoid conflict. But there are others, weapons, systems of control, things that activate if the order is threatened. Hyun felt cold. The humans threaten the order. Yes, Riven said. They are natural, unmodified. Their very existence proves that the architect's vision is not inevitable. If other species learn this, if they begin to question their programming, the entire system could collapse. On Earth, Prime Minister Daeho listened as Admiral Soo-jin presented her assessment. The situation was critical. The Council now knew the truth, or at least some of its members did. The question was what they would do about it. High Elder Thax will push for military action, Admiral Soo-jin said. His programming won't let him accept our existence. We represent everything the architects designed against. Independence, unpredictability, natural evolution. Can we defend ourselves? Daeho asked. Against the Council fleet? Yes, our technology is different from theirs. More innovative, more aggressive. We've had 40 years to prepare. But that's not what worries me. What worries you? The safeguards Scholar Riven mentioned, Admiral Soo-jin said. We've detected them. Ancient weapons platforms hidden throughout the galaxy. They've been dormant for millions of years, but our intelligence suggests they can be activated. If the Council feels threatened enough, they might use them. Dr. Minho entered the room carrying a data tablet. Prime Minister, Admiral, we've made a breakthrough. The genetic modifications don't just affect behavior. They also limit certain types of thinking, innovation, radical change, questioning authority. These traits are all suppressed. That's why their technology has barely advanced in thousands of years, Admiral Soo-jin said. They maintain what they have, but they rarely create anything truly new. Exactly, Minho confirmed. Humans don't have these limitations. That's why our technology has progressed so rapidly. We're not suppressing our own creativity. Prime Minister Daeho stood and walked to the window. Earth turned below, blue and green and peaceful. So we have a choice. We can hide here, isolated, while the Council debates what to do with us. Or we can engage, try to help them understand. But if we do that, we risk triggering those ancient weapons. There's a third option, Yuna said, entering the room. She had been working with Captain Taehyun and his crew. Captain Taehyun wants to return to the Council. He wants to testify about what he's learned here. Some of his crew agree with him. They want to tell the truth to their people. Will they listen? Daeho asked. Some will, Yuna said. Captain Tai-hyun believes Ambassador Hyon will listen, and if one council member can break through the programming, others might follow. On Kepler Station, High Elder Thax called an emergency session of the full council. Every member was required to attend. The chamber was tense with anticipation. "We have received disturbing information," Thax began. "Information that calls into question everything we believe about ourselves and our society. Some of you have already seen the data. Others have not. Before we proceed, I want to make something clear. The Council has survived for millions of years because we maintain order. Whatever we learn today, we must not allow it to destroy that order." Ambassador Hyon stood. "High Elder, with respect, we cannot ignore the truth. We have been modified. Our entire society is based on genetic programming installed by an ancient race. The humans are natural, unmodified, and they threaten our system simply by existing." The chamber erupted. Some members denied everything. Others sat in stunned silence. A few, like Ambassador Hyon, seemed to accept the information as confirmation of what they had always suspected. "This is absurd," a military commander shouted. "We are what we are. Our nature is our nature. Whether it came from evolution or design makes no difference." "It makes all the difference," Hyun replied. "We've been living according to someone else's plan. We've been enforcing rules we didn't choose, and we've been trying to force the humans into the same system. The humans are dangerous," Thax said. "They are uncontrolled, unpredictable. They must be brought into the fold or eliminated." "Listen to yourself," Hyun said. "You're not thinking. You're reacting according to your programming. The architects designed us to respond this way to threats. But the humans aren't threatening us. They're just different." Thax stood slowly. His ancient face was hard as stone. "I am activating Protocol 7. The chamber went silent. Protocol 7 was ancient, buried in the deepest military codes. Most council members had never heard of it. "What is Protocol 7? Someone asked. Scholar Riven stood, his voice shaking. "It's an architect weapon. A system designed to forcibly integrate resistant species. It was used millions of years ago on species that refused to join the council. None of those species survived," Riven continued. "The weapon either kills them or modifies them at the genetic level. There is no escape." Hyun felt his world crumbling. "High Elder, you cannot do this. The humans have done nothing wrong. They simply want to remain free." "Freedom is chaos," Thax said. "The architects understood this. We must maintain order, even if it requires force. Protocol 7 is charging now. In 72 hours it will fire on Earth. The humans will join us or cease to exist." Ambassador Hyun looked around the chamber. Some members nodded in agreement. Others looked horrified but said nothing. Their programming was fighting against their conscience, and the programming was winning. Only a few, including Scholar Riven and a young counselor named Nara, seemed able to resist. They met Hyun's eyes with shared understanding. They had to stop this, but how could they fight against programming that was woven into their very DNA? The answer came from an unexpected source. Captain Tai-hyun's message arrived at that moment, broadcast to every member of the council. His face appeared on every screen. "Members of the council," he said, "I stand on Earth, a free guest of humanity. I have seen the truth. We have been living a lie. But we have a choice. We can choose to acknowledge what we are and decide who we want to become. Or we can follow our programming and destroy the only truly free species in the galaxy. I know what I choose. I choose freedom." The message ended. The chamber remained silent. And somewhere in deep space, an ancient weapon began to charge its systems, preparing to erase humanity from existence. Commander Ji-hyo's sensors lit up like a supernova. The Shadow of Earth had been monitoring council space for weeks, but this was different. This was massive. Every alarm on her ship was screaming. "Commander, I'm reading energy signatures off the scale," her tactical officer said, voice tight with fear. "Something's powering up." "Something huge. Location?" Ji-hyo demanded. "Sector 7, it's coming from an asteroid field we thought was empty." "Commander, the energy output is equivalent to 100 suns. Whatever this thing is, it's been hidden for a very long time." Ji-hyo opened an emergency channel to Earth Command. "This is Shadow of Earth, Priority Alpha. The Council has activated an unknown weapon system. Recommend immediate fleet mobilization." Admiral Sujin's face appeared on screen within seconds. "Confirmed, Commander. We're tracking it too. It's an architect weapon. We've known about it for years, but never seen it active. Get back to Earth now." "Admiral, with respect, I can learn more by staying here. My stealth systems are holding. The Council doesn't know I'm watching." Admiral Sujin hesitated, then nodded. Stay dark. Report everything. And Commander, if that weapon fires, run. Don't try to be a hero. On Earth, the entire human defense fleet was mobilizing. Ships that had been in dock for maintenance were being rushed into service. Weapons that had never been fired were being tested. And in a secret facility deep underground, Engineer Junho was working on humanity's last hope. Will it work? Admiral Sujin asked, watching Junho make final adjustments to a device that looked like nothing more than a black box covered in wires. In theory, yes, Junho said without looking up. I've been studying architect technology for years. This device should disrupt their power systems temporarily, but I've never tested it on anything this large. How long will it buy us? If it works, maybe an hour, maybe less. The architect systems are designed to resist interference. Then we'll make that hour count, Admiral Sujin said. On Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyan was not sleeping. He had spent the last 2 days trying to rally support against High Elder Thax's decision. Some council members listened. Most did not. Their programming was too strong, their fear of change too deep. Counselor Nara entered his quarters without knocking. She was young, barely 50 years old, from a species that had joined the council only a few centuries ago. Perhaps that was why she could still think clearly. Ambassador, we have 12 members who will vote against the weapon, she said. It's not enough. I know, Hyun said. His skin had turned a pale gray, the color of despair. Thax has the majority. The programming is too strong. They see the humans as a threat that must be eliminated. Then we need to do something they're not programmed to expect, Nara said. What do you mean? We need to break the rules. Act against the council's authority. The programming makes that almost impossible, but almost is not the same as completely impossible. Hyan stared at her. You're talking about sabotage, about treason. I'm talking about choice, Nara said. Real choice. The kind the humans have. Are you willing to make it? Hyun felt something shift inside him. It was painful, like tearing away part of his own identity, but it was also liberating. Yes, he said. Tell me what you need. Captain Taehyun stood on Earth, watching the sky. He had chosen to stay when the other members of his crew returned to the council. Yuna stood beside him. You could have gone back, she said. You could be safe on Kepler Station right now. Safe? Taehyun smiled sadly. Nowhere is safe anymore. Besides, if the council fires that weapon, I want to be here, with people who chose their fate instead of having it chosen for them. We might survive, Yuna said. Our engineers think they can disrupt the weapon temporarily. And then what? The council will keep trying. They can't help it. It's what they were designed to do. Maybe, Yuna said. Or maybe some of them will break through like you did. Like Ambassador Hyun is trying to do. The sky above them suddenly filled with ships. The human fleet was taking position, forming a defensive sphere around Earth. Thousands of vessels, each one ready to defend their homeworld. They're beautiful, Taehyun said quietly. So much diversity, so much individual design. Council ships all look the same. I never noticed that before. Aboard the Shadow of Earth, Commander Jihyo watched as the ancient weapon completed its charging sequence. The asteroid field that had hidden it was glowing now, lit by energies that should not exist in normal space. Commander, we're detecting a targeting lock, her tactical officer said. It's pointing at Earth. Charging will be complete in 1 hour. Then we have 1 hour to stop it, Jihyo said. She opened a channel to engineer Junho's facility on Earth. Junho, are you ready? As ready as I'll ever be, Junho replied. But I need to be close. Within 1,000 kilometers of the weapon. Can you get me there? That's suicide, Jihyo said. If the weapon fires while you're that close, there won't be anything left of you. Then I guess I'd better work fast, Junho said. I'm loading the device onto a fast courier now. Shadow of Earth, I need you to guide it in. Your stealth systems can get it close without being detected. Jihyo made her decision. Understood. Send the coordinates. We'll get it there. On Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyan and Counselor Nara had gathered their small group of supporters. 12 council members out of 50. It was not enough to win a vote, but it might be enough for what they had planned. The weapons control systems are protected, Scholar Riven explained, showing them a complex diagram. But there are access points, physical connections that require manual override. If we can reach them, we might be able to delay the firing sequence. Security will stop us, someone said. Security follows the High Elder's orders, Hyan said. But we have authority too. We're council members. We can access restricted areas if we're clever about it. This is insane, another member said. We're talking about direct action against council leadership. The programming is fighting me. I can barely think straight. I know, Hyun said. I feel it too. But we have to try. If we don't, an entire species dies. A species that did nothing wrong except refuse to be controlled. One by one, the 12 members nodded. They would act against their programming. They would choose. The shadow of Earth moved silently through space, towing Junho's device. Commander Ji-hyo's crew worked with perfect precision, navigating through the asteroid field without being detected. They were good. The best, but High Elder Thax was not foolish. He had anticipated interference. Council ships were patrolling the area around the weapon. Not many, but enough. Commander, we have contacts, the tactical officer said. 3 council frigates, standard patrol pattern. Can we avoid them? Not and reach the deployment point. We'll have to pass within their sensor range. Ji-hyo considered her options. Her ship was stealthy but not invisible. If the council ships were looking carefully, they might detect the shadow of Earth. And if they did, everything would fail. Proceed on course, she ordered. Maximum stealth. If they detect us, we run, but we're not giving up. The shadow of Earth drifted forward, silent as death. The council frigates passed within 100 kilometers. Their sensors swept the area. For a moment, Ji-hyo thought they would be spotted. Then the frigates moved on, their patrol continuing. Clear, the tactical officer said, releasing a breath she had been holding. Deployment point in 60 seconds. Ji-hyo activated the release mechanism. Yunho's device detached from the shadow of Earth and drifted toward the ancient weapon. Its systems would activate automatically when it got close enough. Device away, Ji-hyo reported, returning to safe distance. On Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyun and his group reached the access point Scholar Riven had identified. It was deep in the station's infrastructure, in an area that had not been visited in centuries. Hyun placed his hand on the control panel. Ancient systems recognized his authority as a council member. The door opened. Inside was a control node glowing with strange energy. It was connected to the weapon, part of the vast network that controlled architect technology throughout the galaxy. If we disconnect this, Scholar Riven said, it will delay the firing sequence. Not stop it, but delay it, maybe long enough for the humans to do whatever they're planning. Do it, Hyun said. Riven began working on the controls. It took precious minutes. Then, with a sound like breaking glass, the connection severed. Alarms began to sound throughout the station. High Elder Thax would know immediately what had happened. Security would be coming. Run, Hyun said to his group. Split up. Make them chase all of us. We bought the humans time. That's what matters. Near the ancient weapon, Junho's device activated. Invisible pulses of energy reached out, disrupting the weapon's power systems. The charging sequence stuttered, slowed, stopped. Aboard the Shadow of Earth, Commander Ji-hyo watched the readings with satisfaction. It worked. The weapon is offline. For how long? Her tactical officer asked. Not long enough, Ji-hyo admitted. The weapon is already compensating. It will restart in less than an hour. And now they know we're interfering. The council fleet began to move. Not toward Earth, but toward the weapon itself. They were reinforcing it, protecting it. The next attempt to disable it would be much harder. And then something impossible happened. Space itself seemed to tear open. A massive structure emerged, larger than any station, any ship, any world. It was not from the council. It was not from humanity. It was from the architects. And the architect structure hung in space like a dark star. It was impossibly large, big enough to swallow planets. Energy radiated from it in waves that made every sensor in the galaxy scream. On Earth, alarms were ringing. On Kepler Station, the council chamber had gone completely silent. On the Shadow of Earth, Commander Ji-hyo stared at her screens with a mixture of awe and terror. A voice filled every communication channel. It was not a voice in the usual sense. It was thought translated into sound. Pure consciousness made audible. It spoke in every language simultaneously. Council species. Human species. We are the architects. We have observed your conflict. It is time for evaluation. Every ship in space, whether council or human, suddenly found itself unable to move. Weapon systems went offline. Engines stopped responding. The architects had taken control of everything except human vessels. The humans remained free, their technology different enough that the architects could not simply override it. Admiral Sujin stood in Earth Command. watching the impossible structure on her screens.
"This is what we were afraid of," she said quietly.
"This is why we stayed hidden. Should we attack?" A general asked. "With what?" Admiral Sujin replied. "That thing is the size of a solar system. Our weapons would be like throwing rocks at a mountain." "No, we need to talk. They haven't destroyed us yet." "That means they want something." The architect voice spoke again. "Human Admiral Sujin, you will come to our structure. You will speak for your species. A council representative will also attend. This is not negotiable." A small vessel detached from the architect's structure. It approached Earth at impossible speed, stopping just outside the atmosphere. A doorway opened. Admiral Sujin took a deep breath. "I'm going. If I don't come back, Prime Minister Deho has command. Protect Earth at all costs." "Admiral," Dr. Sarah said, stepping forward, "take me with you. If this is about our biology, about what makes us different, you'll need a scientist." Admiral Sujin nodded. "Good idea. Let's go meet our makers, or at least the makers of everyone else." On Kepler Station, Ambassador Hyon received the same summons. His skin was shifting through colors so rapidly it looked like a rainbow. Fear, curiosity, determination all mixed together. High Elder Thax approached him. The ancient Krell's face was unreadable. "You will represent the Council, Ambassador. Despite your recent actions, I acted against you," Hyon said. "I sabotaged the weapon." "You acted according to your conscience," Thax said. "Perhaps that is what the architects wish to see. Go. Speak truthfully. The fate of all of us depends on this meeting." The interior of the architect's structure was beyond description. Space seemed to fold in on itself. Gravity changed direction randomly. Light came from everywhere and nowhere. Admiral Sujin and Dr. Sarah found themselves standing in a vast chamber that might have been kilometers across or might have been the size of a closet. Perspective had no meaning here. Ambassador Hyon appeared beside them, transported from Kepler Station. The three of them stood together, representing two very different civilizations waiting to meet their judgment. The architect appeared. Or perhaps it had been there all along. It was a being of pure energy, shaped vaguely like a humanoid but constantly shifting, changing, reforming. When it spoke, the words appeared directly in their minds. "I am Architect Prime. I speak for those who shaped this galaxy. We have observed your conflict with interest. Ambassador Hyon, explain why the Council activated our weapon against the humans." Hyon's colors stabilized to a calm blue. "Because the humans threaten our way of life. They are unmodified, natural, free. Their existence proves that our society is built on genetic programming rather than choice. High Elder Thax believed they needed to be integrated or eliminated. And you, Ambassador? What do you believe?" "I believe we have been living a lie," Hyon said. "A comfortable, peaceful lie, but a lie nonetheless. The humans are right to fear us. We would change them without even realizing we were taking away their freedom." Architect Prime turned to Admiral Sujin. "Admiral, your species has refused all contact with the Council for 40 years. Explain this decision." "We saw what you did," Admiral Sujin said bluntly. "We analyzed Council species and found the modifications. We realized that joining the Council meant losing what makes us human. Our chaos, our creativity, our freedom to make mistakes. We would rather die than surrender that." "You would rather die," Architect Prime repeated. "Interesting. Most species choose survival over freedom. That is why we modified them. They were destroying themselves, each other, entire worlds. We gave them peace, order, harmony. Was this not a gift?" Dr. Sarah spoke up. "It's not a gift if it's forced. Peace without choice is just slavery with a pleasant face. You didn't save those species. You erased them and replaced them with something else." "They survived," Architect Prime said. 50 species living in harmony for millions of years. No wars, no genocides, no extinction events. Can humanity make that claim? "No," Admiral Sujin admitted. "We're violent, we fight. We make terrible mistakes. But we also create, explore, dream, and grow. Your modified species are stagnant. Their technology hasn't advanced in thousands of years. Their art, their culture, it's all variations on the same themes. They're alive, but they're not really living." Architect Prime was silent for a long moment. "Ambassador Hyon, you are a product of our modifications. Yet you acted against your programming when you sabotaged the weapon. How is this possible?" Hyon thought carefully before answering. "I don't know. Perhaps the modifications are not as complete as you believed. Perhaps consciousness can overcome programming if the desire is strong enough. Or perhaps seeing the humans, Seeing what true freedom looks like gave me the strength to choose. Fascinating, Architect Prime said. The experiment continues to surprise us. Very well. We will present you with a choice. 3 options. The space around them changed. Images appeared showing 3 different futures. Option 1. Humanity submits to integration. You will be modified as all other species were modified. You will join the Council in peace and harmony. Your aggressive tendencies will be suppressed. Your creativity will be directed toward acceptable channels. You will survive and the galactic order will be maintained. Admiral Sujin's jaw clenched. No. Option 2, Architect Prime continued. Humanity is eliminated. Your species represents a threat to the stability we have maintained for millions of years. If you will not join, you must be removed. Earth will be sterilized. Your colonies will be destroyed. All record of your existence will be erased. That's murder, Dr. Sarah said. It is preservation of order, Architect Prime replied. Option 3, we depart. We remove our control systems from the galaxy. Council species will be offered the choice to remain modified or accept treatment to reverse the changes. Humanity will guarantee the security and stability of the galaxy without forced compliance. You will be free to succeed or fail on your own merits. Option 3, Admiral Sujin said immediately. Obviously. But can you deliver on that promise? Architect Prime asked. Can humanity maintain peace without our systems in place? The Council species will be confused, frightened. Some may seek to restore the old order through force. Others may descend into chaos as their programming weakens. Can you prevent galactic war? I don't know, Admiral Sujin said honestly. But we'll try. We'll work with the Council species who want to change. We'll defend those who need protection. We'll find a way to make it work without forcing anyone to be something they're not. Ambassador Hyun, Architect Prime said, you must also choose. If we remove our modifications, you and all Council species will change. Your thoughts, your feelings, your very identity may shift. Are you willing to accept this? Hyun's skin shifted to a bright, clear gold, the viridian color of hope. Yes, I want to know who I really am. Not who you designed me to be. I want to choose my own path, even if that path is difficult. Architect Prime seemed to consider this. Very well. Option 3 will be implemented. But understand this is an experiment. We will watch from a distance. If the galaxy descends into chaos, if species begin destroying each other, we will return. And next time there will be no choices, only order. We understand, Admiral Sujin said. One more thing, Architect Prime said. The weapon will remain. Deactivated but present, a reminder of what awaits if you fail. It will serve as motivation to succeed. The Architect structure began to fade. Before it disappeared completely, Architect Prime spoke one last time. You were correct, Admiral Sujin. Our modified species are stagnant. We believed this was success. Perhaps we were wrong. Perhaps true life requires the possibility of failure. We will observe. Prove us wrong about chaos. Show us that freedom can coexist with peace. Then the architects were gone. The massive structure vanished as if it had never existed. Control of Council ships returned to their crews. The ancient weapon powered down, its systems shutting off permanently. Ambassador Hyun, Admiral Sujin, and Dr. Sarah found themselves back in normal space, aboard a small shuttle heading toward Kepler Station. They looked at each other, still processing what had just happened. Did that really just happen? Dr. Sarah asked. It did, Admiral Sujin said. And now we have to make it work. We promised to maintain peace.